Hello, welcome to the Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. And if you're a kruleboyz fan, it's an exciting day because Games Workshop has released some new additional rules for your kruleboyz army to be used for the next year with the launch of the General's Handbook 2025 called the Scourge of Ghyran, which is very, very exciting. Kruleboyz definitely need a little bit of an update as well as, they need a balance update as well as obviously needing some new and additional rules. Well, they don't need new rules. It's just fun that they've got some new rules. So I'm really excited about this, but if you are a kruleboyz fan, do leave in the comments below what you think about these changes because I'm excited to know what your thoughts are on this update because there's lots to go through and it's looking pretty fun. The first thing that you get are 2 new battle formations. If you're new to Age of Sigmar, battle formations you write down on your army list. And I would say that the first one, the Swamp Horde Bullies, giving you the passive ganging up, which is once per turn army in any combat phase, is pretty good. You pick a friendly kruleboyz unit to be the target. That unit must be in combat with an enemy unit that's in combat with another friendly kruleboyz unit. So a bit of a stipulation there. Kragnos can be picked to be the target, which is pretty funny. Kragnos getting called out. But for the rest of the turn, you add one to the attacks characteristic of the target's melee weapons. This is great for gut rippers or monster killers. +1 attack to all of their attacks. Basically every combat phase, as long as you've got 2 units in combat with a unit, is really solid. I like that a lot. It really makes the output of especially your gut rippers much higher. I think that's very cool. Really, really strong. The other one, bad-mouthing betas, is once per turn in your army in your shooting phase and it gives you the ability Cruel Mockery, which is just a big taunt, which is very fun. You pick a friendly kruleboyz unit to be the insult hurler, and you pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches to be the target, then make a dirty trick roll. Dirty Trick Roll is your allegiance ability, which is in your rulebook, which lets you just roll dice. And the more dirty tricks you attempt to do, the more difficult it will be to achieve this. So the fact that it's linked with your dirty tricks, which are really, really important for the kruleboyz playstyle, means that it's not going to be something that's as good as it maybe seems. But the actual effect is really strong. Until the start of your next turn, each time the target uses a move ability and does not end that move closer to the insult hurler than it was at the start of the move, you inflict D6 mortal damage on the target after that move ability has been resolved. So number one, we should talk about that this is just very, very thematic. This is very fun. Kruleboyz just shouting and calling someone ugly or whatever it might be is a super cool ability. I like it a lot. It's very, very thematic. So number one, like big bonus points for Games Workshop for making something thematic and cool. However, using it might be more tricky, like I said, because it's keyed in with those dirty trick rolls. But I do like the idea of doing a teleport and then making your opponent have to decide between doing a redeploy away or taking D6 mortals. And it does last for quite a long time as well. It lasts until the beginning of your next turn. And some units are always going to want to run towards you, for instance, enemy combat units, but some units aren't going to want to, but they're going to make small movements. They'll be like, I've moved 0.1 of an inch forward, and therefore they ignore the ability. So while it's really thematic, I'm not sure it's going to be that impactful. So Swamp Horde Bullies, though, feels very strong, and I think kruleboyz fans will be very excited about that upgrade. Next up, you have Monstrous traits. A Monstrous trait is an enhancement, and Games Workshop don't do a very good job of explaining this, so if you're not sure what I'm talking about, when you have enhancements and you write your army list, you get a heroic trait for free, you get an artifact for free, and now with your kruleboyz, you'll also gain one of these Monstrous traits for free. They'll be able to be put onto a monster, okay? But the same rules for enhancements will apply. You won't be able to go on a unique character, so it will just be your generic characters. There are 3 monstrous traits to choose from, which is very fun. Also, what's nice about this is they don't clash with your heroic traits or your artifacts. So this means you can really kind of tool up an individual hero, which is fun. So the first one, Minon, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the unit's companion weapons. So yeah, +1 to hit on companion weapons is pretty good, especially on the Trogboss, which is a pretty punchy character you have in your kruleboyz roster. That's a good one. I don't hate that at all. That's a good use of it. And there are also some other characters you might want to put it on as well. The Toughen passive, subtract 1 from the Ren characteristic of weapons used for attacks that target this unit, is nice, especially with the update to all-out attack and all-out defense, which we could cover in the future. But -1 rend is nice as well. You're still getting hit. -1 to hit would be much better. But I guess that's okay. The one that I really like is Sneakian, which is once per battle in the enemy hero phase. This unit can use the normal move or retreat ability as if it were your movement phase. In addition, no mortal damage is inflicted on unit by retreat abilities this phase. Now, I've already seen that Slippery Scumbag is a pretty popular enhancement that you put on a character from nipping around the board, and is very, very popular. This is going to add to that and going to make it even more difficult for your opponent to pin a character down, especially one that is a little bit more on the fragile side for like a frontline fighting monster. And means you're going to be able to move into places to grab objectives, do battle tactics, and do a bunch of stuff your opponent isn't expecting, which is kind of exactly what you would really want from running your Kruleboyz army. Ultimately, this is a free upgrade to the entire Kruleboyz roster, where one of your monsters can get some sort of buff, whether or not it's +1 to hit, -1 to rend the attacks that target them, or this ability to move around. So that's a generally massive upgrade. Well, not massive, but it's a generally okay free upgrade for Kruleboyz, and hopefully it's going to be enough to make their monsters be able to fight with other units. They also have created 2 new war scrolls. Now, these are alternative war scrolls to the ones that you find inside your book, and they'll be legal for the next year during the Ghyran season. You can only have, with Swampboss Scumdreck, because he's unique, it doesn't really matter anyway. You're either going to take the Ghyran version or the rulebook version. But with the Killaboss on Great Gnashtooth, you've either got to have the Ghyran version or you've got to have the rulebook version. You can't have both types in the same army. So Swampboss Scumdreck has had a big upgrade. 15 health, 4 up save, move 8, control value 5. His melee profile has become maybe more regular than it was previously, with 5 attacks doing damage 2 with crit mortals and 6 attacks doing damage 3, also with crit mortals on the companion weapon. But the reason I think people will be excited about his output is because of his once per turn army in any combat phase ability, Thrashing Tail. You roll a dice, and if the roll is less than or equal to the number of models in the target unit for the rest of the turn, and that does mean that you do have the chance that if you are fighting a single hero model or something, you can still roll a 1. Because that will be equal to each time this unit uses an attack ability. If all the attacks target the enemy unit, those attacks get crit 5s, and they also affect companion weapons. So this means he's going to have 11 attacks that do crit mortals on 5s, which is quite nice. But one of the reasons I think, so now that's pretty fun and people will be excited about the combat potential. But I think the real thing that's exciting is the rigged odds passive. The first time you fail a dirty trick roll, which is your allegiance ability, you give this unit 1 betting chip. Each time you make a dirty trick roll for an ability that targets a unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit, you can spend any number of betting chips. For each betting chip you spend, you add 1 to that dirty trick roll. Now, this means that you can get more reliable dirty tricks. It also means you can try and do more dirty tricks because you're always going to be rigging the odds and generating these betting chips. These betting chips don't seem to go away. So if in an early turn you aren't really doing much, you could just try to just do as many dirty tricks as possible to be able to generate more reliable dirty tricks later on in the game, if that makes sense. So he's also gone up in points from like 220 to 250, but this has taken him from probably a unit that was okay to a unit that you will probably take because he really reinforces one of the main ways your army plays, which is generating and doing dirty tricks. So this feels like a massive glow up for Swampboss Scumdreck, and I think people will be excited. Let me know in the comments below if you're excited. I think people are going to be very excited. The other updated war scroll is the Killaboss on Great Gnashtooth. In an amusing kind of twist, the Warhammer community article has accidentally said that this is a unit size of 5 for 160 points, which is obviously wrong. Otherwise, you would end up with a 50 health unit on a 3-up save for 160 points. So that's definitely wrong. It's just unit size 1. However, the Killaboss on Great Gnashtooth has got 10 health with a 3-up save, moves 10 inches. Now, it's got an okay combat profile, 5 attacks, damage 2 with crit mortals, and another 5 attacks with the Great Gnashtooth. However, it's got 2 cool abilities, which definitely make it very fun and interesting to use. So, first up, you've got Prowling the Flanks. If this unit is wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up again wholly within 6 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. This is in your movement phase. Now, this is pretty spicy because you've got the opportunity to be near to enemy heroes, which is what you really want to be because of the drag them out ability that you do in the combat phase. This is only once per turn in the army. and you pick an enemy infantry hero in combat with this unit to be the target, and you roll 2d6. This unit can move the distance in inches up to value of the roll, and it doesn't say that you need to end in combat or anything similar. Then, if possible, your opponent must remove the target from the battlefield and set it up again within an inch. What I think is really fun about this is let's say you've got a Chaos Sorcerer Lord next to a unit of Chosen. I charge in, I activate this ability, I then move away from the Chosen, meaning they can't fight me, but I also drag their Sorcerer Lord away so I can fight them and kill them. And with the fact that you can be prowling along the flanks with the other ability, it's kind of fun. It's not necessarily very strong, but it's very, very, very fun. And that's kind of what you want, especially if you're playing Kruleboyz, right? It's fun and engaging and is really interesting. So those are the updates for Kruleboyz. And I got to say, the flat upgrade for just being able to have more attacks on combat units feels like a bit of a helping hand to the army. Say, hey, do some more fighting and it'd be really good. The two different war scrolls I think are interesting, with Swampboss Scumdreck maybe becoming a pivotal element of how lists will play in the future, giving you more reliable dirty trick rolls, which is very scary. And really, if you think about it, knowing that in turns 2 or 3, you can do some of your dirty tricks on a 2+ could really change the game. Killaboss and Gnashtooth is at least a fun war scroll, which is very fun. And the heroic traits are also really interesting. Well, not heroic traits. The mount traits are also interesting as well. So I think, yeah, I would say that's a fun update. There's definitely some stuff that's maybe missing. But I think for me, having these additional rules is really cool because we might see more again in the future. Might see more at Christmas. Might see more like, then next year it comes around. So even though, they've had their book, more updates is fun. And I'd be pretty pumped, to be honest. But let me know in the comments below what you think, how you feel about it. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you soon.